Are you gonna listen to the move?
I've been out the loop since '09.
Yeah, I'll be back to get at that, though.
Check this. I'm at the motherfucking house last night. Guess what the fuck I see?
What you see?
Jamaica, what's up?
Fuck you think you fucking with? It's Maxwell, bitch.
Fuck you in them shoes.
Bitch, I'm about to stalk you with these shoes.
I thought I told you to get a jump to Crazy D.
I did give it to Crazy D. You know D, you must have seen money in that. You know he used to produce those nudie DVDs.
Fuck you, thin man. I know you did it.
Don't let your mouth write a check, cause I will take it out on your ass. Damn, man. Is you serious?
I don't appreciate being roughed up by men, or should I say, male bitches.
Yeah, you gonna work out.
And we look for young ladies like you to host them.
I look like somebody that can host your videos.
That's right. So go change, cause we ain't got all day.
Get off the house.
Pretty good, though. Don't get on that bullshit.
Crazy. What the hell? How you get in my room?
Film Review, Movies, Music, Culture, Politics, Society podcast, interviews, movie reviews, and more. Live Sundays at 5:30 p.m. on the Film Review Live channel. Subscribe.
Hi, this is Bernadette Stannis, Thelma from Good Times, and you're watching the Film Review.
Sound effects.
Yeah, sound effects. What's going on, people? How you feeling? This is another great episode of the Film Review. Movies, music, culture, politics, and society. And do we have a great show for you today?
Yes.
Let's just say, first of all, that we are simulcasting live over a couple of different platforms.
Yes.
A few different platforms. We're simulcasting over Crazy D Film Dude on Instagram, right? Yeah. Then we are broadcasting lively over where else are we broadcasting live? Over
What?
Periscope.
Periscope, right?
Live, right?
Right.
Then we are simulcasting also on TFR Podcast Live.
Right.
Lordlandfilms page on Facebook. Make sure that you like that and follow that, right? And then, of course, we're on YouTube.
Yes.
Right now on YouTube, broadcasting with perfect streaming.
Yep.
Right? Perfect streaming, and we are on right now. So you can see us on many different formats, right? Many different platforms, many different situations. And of course, we're on Crazy D Film Dude on Instagram for the first hour, but because we're a 2-hour show, right? So look, people, we have a great show for you today. If you didn't notice, it was brought to you by Back in Cleveland DVD. This movie is available on video on demand, right? It's on video on demand, and you can also own your own hard copy of the film. Let me put it up there so people can see it, right? So you just go over to lordlandfilms.com, lordlandfilms.com, and it will give you all of the directions. You can either watch it or you can order it. You can watch it by live stream, and you can order it, and this is one of the most drama-filled, comedy-filled,
entertaining
films that you will see. Written, produced, directed, edited, and co-starring or starring your dude.
Right.
Crazy D Film Dude in it, right? Poison Ivy, Black Now, Billy Mack, Priscilla Moyer, right? So make sure that you check this out. You can get it in hard copy, or you can stream it. You know how we do, because over here at lordlandfilms.com, that's lordlandfilms.com, we actually do what we say we do. We are actually filmmakers, and we actually review films. And here we are. That was the shameless plug, right? Here we are coming, right? So I have something special. I just saw it, right? So we have to take time to see if I can bring this up and put this in real quick, because this right here sets up the show. So let me do a real quick little type here. See if I can bring this in right.
Okay.
Let me see if I can bring it in. Ah, there it is. Let's see if I can bring it in, because this is how we're going to kick off the show, right? Because this right here is something that if you don't believe, in COVID, this is a wake-up call, people.
My phone's just...
Yeah, I know.
Oh, here it is.
It's a wake-up call, people, right? It is a wake-up call to everything. This is the wake-up call. This is something that is heard around the world. So stay tuned for this one. Wait a minute.
First of all, happy birthday.
Yeah.
To James Baldwin.
James Baldwin, that's right, people. So we have to go on ahead and start the show like this so that you can understand what you're getting ready to hear and what you're getting ready to see today. This is the wake-up call, right?
Yeah.
It is a wake-up call, right? I am hearing nothing. Let me pour this. There we go. I know we had sound like that. And here we go, people.
I swear to God, take my keys. Call Donald Trump. He's going to come get me out of prison. Get up, call Donald Trump right now. I'm a white supremacist. The Aryan nation will rule the world. People covered in tattoos are going to be my closest relatives. I promise
we got
you.
children in here.
I don't give a fuck. Call Donald Trump.
Come on.
You don't know Donald Trump. You don't know Donald Trump. I'm not going nowhere. I will butt fuck this bitch on the table right now. Please, somebody call Donald Trump. I'm not playing this game.
Wait for it. Wait for it. Ooh! It's the slap heard around the world. It's a wake-up call. If you don't believe in COVID-19, that's like the wake-up. He's like COVID, and she's like anyone who doesn't believe in the COVID-19 virus. So that was the slap that heard around the world. That is a great wake-up call for the show, right? So look, this show is episode 124 of TFR Podcast Live. That's hashtag TFR Podcast Live. Make sure that you're on and that you share it with your people, right? So look, the first thing that we want to talk, what we're going to be talking about, how ADOS, hashtag ADOS, shut out of reparations talks by black politicians. We're also going to be talking about Tijuana Jackson movie, right?
Yeah.
We're also going to be talking about, of course, James Baldwin. It's his birthday.
Yes.
And we're going to be talking about one called I'm Not Your Negro, which is playing on Netflix right now. And of course, we start with the blurbs of the week.
Yes.
You know, we call it blurbs of the week, American Black Politics. And so the first thing that we have to ask, like I always ask you every week.
Well, you know what? I want to kick it off by saying again, happy birthday to Rest in Heaven. Rest in heaven, James Baldwin. Rest in heaven.
That's right, because he was there for the fight.
Yeah, he was. And so many cameras. Where do I look?
Just look.
Okay. In the end, congratulations, Nicki Minaj, for her baby coming into the world.
That's right.
Babies are a blessing.
They always are.
Yeah. What else? There's so much going on. And then the Chris Brown versus thing.
The People's Chair says, greetings, family. Greetings to you, the People's Chair. Keep watching on YouTube. They're watching. Of course, on Facebook, they're watching. Periscope, they're watching. And on Instagram, on Crazy D Film Dude, they're watching, right? So we want to say that. So
back to the verses.
Go ahead.
Okay. So this whole Chris Brown versus thing. Is this okay, he doesn't want to versus anybody. He says there's no need, right?
Yeah, he's working with he's too busy producing music.
Right.
Being so prolific.
Right.
And he's raising his family.
Right?
That's right. So he doesn't have time for all of the rigmarole.
So leave Chris alone. So who's up next, right?
Who's
supposed to be, you told me, you said is it 2 Chainz
and
Rick Ross,
2 Chainz
right?
and Rick Ross. That's coming up on Wednesday.
Okay.
That's gonna be a blood bath.
It is.
You understand? Because each one is bringing their funk to the table, right?
Right.
Each one is bringing their funk to the table, and they have albums, right? Right. So shout out to Bear Facts, because Bear Facts is the People's Chair. He's got his channel ready because he's going to be doing debating with those who don't believe in certain things that he thinks they shouldn't believe in at this time of point. So we're going to be looking forward to seeing those debates come up.
Because we've seen them before, right?
Yeah, we've seen them before. We've seen them come up, and we listen to them on FB when he comes up. So shout out to him. He kicks some information there. So look, first thing out is Sir Alan Parker passed, right?
Okay.
Films like Midnight Express, Fame, Pink Floyd's The Wall, Birdie, Angel Heart. Now, if you have never seen Angel Heart, that is the movie that I believe got, what's her name? Lisa Bonet
kicked off.
In trouble with Bill Cosby because she did some scenes in that film that were meant for the film, right? So it wasn't gratuitous or anything, but she's an actress. And since then they've cleaned it up and said it was for another reason. But really, but anyway, people. So look, also Mississippi Burning, M-I, crooked letter I, crooked letter I, humpback I, Mississippi Burning, Vita with Madonna.
Okay.
I love you, Argentina. He's done a lot of things. Yes, he has, right? So,
West in Heaven.
West in Heaven, right? So that was there. We don't know what his politic was, but he did some things. Now, people,
Or some say rest in peace, right?
Rest in peace, rest in heaven,
We don't
rest
know
in
his
paradise.
beliefs.
We don't know his beliefs.
Yeah.
We don't know his politic either,
Right.
but we would mention them because some of those films, we enjoyed those films. Angel Heart with Mickey Rourke and Lisa Bonet. If you have never seen that film, you should definitely see that
Good
film.
film.
Now, next up, people.
Okay.
Herman Cain. Now this depiction. Now people have been
Rest in
happy,
peace
but
to him too.
Herman
Rest in
Cain
heaven.
passed away from COVID-19, and some people have been having a field day with Herman Cain passing away.
Really?
Yes, they've had a field day with Herman Cain passing away, right? Now for people, we're getting ready to play a video, and so for people who are on Crazy D Film Dude, you have to go over to either the YouTube or go over to TFR Podcast Live Lordlandfilms page on FB to be able to see the video that we're playing, right? Because you know, we're gonna play a video on Herman Cain, right? But so this picture right here represents Herman Cain at Trump's rally that happened. What was it now? What is it? A couple of months ago?
Yeah,
a month ago.
June.
It was a month ago, right?
Yeah.
Because we're in August, right?
Oh, yeah,
so
like 2 months ago, right?
2 weeks after he attended this, and as you see, they weren't wearing masks.
Okay.
So 2 weeks after he attended this, he came down with COVID-19. He was in the hospital, and people were putting things across talking about prayers go up for Herman Cain.
Okay.
Right? So this was supposed to be Herman Cain's triumph time, right?
Because the rally was in June, so it's been 2 months.
Yeah, it's been. That's right. It has been 2 months now. 2 months now, right? But he came down with it,
right?
2 weeks after, you know.
Wow, after the rally.
After the rally, he came down with it, right? So look, he came down with it, and they have been doing the prayers and everything up, but he succumbed to it, right? So the caption at the top says, no mask. What does it say? It says, no mask, no distancing, no more Herman Cain. They're making fun of this guy.
Yeah, it's not nice.
And see, the reason why I said this is supposed to be his triumph time, because there's a new documentary out called Uncle Tom. Not the Goodbye Uncle Tom that we talked about, but it's a new one put out by, let me get the name right. I just want to make sure I get the name right. It is put out by Larry Elder.
Okay, he talked about that on the news.
Right.
Okay.
So he put it out, and it's supposed to be a big hit right now, but Herman Cain talks, right? And this is supposed to be like his triumph.
Okay.
Manor said, hey, what's going on? They said, hey, on YouTube. So stay with us, because we're talking about how ADOS shut out of reparations talks by black politicians. We'll be talking about that, but right now we're going through the blurbs. So welcome to all the new people coming in who haven't been with us on the show before. Stay with us here. So he's in a documentary called Uncle Tom by Larry Elder. And this is supposed to be his triumph, because he's in this documentary and they were supposing that Trump would win again. And so this is what it is, but he won't be able to see it. So we're going to come back and have an observation about this. So check this out real quick.
I was working for the Department of the Navy. The same day that I started, another white gentleman named Robert started working there also. We had very similar jobs. So the first 12 months, I got outstanding performance 4 quarters in a row. Second year, outstanding performance 4 quarters in a row. And Robert got outstanding performance. But Robert was getting his GS salary increase at least 2 months sooner than me. So I went to Wayne, my supervisor, and said, Robert and I are both doing a great job. He said, yeah. So why is he getting little increases quicker than me? He said, he has a master's degree. I said, oh, it's not because he's white? Nope. He has a master's degree. So you know what I did? I didn't get mad. I went and got me a master's degree.
So he went and got him a master's degree.
Okay.
Now, the whole point of the Uncle Tom movie, from what I can see, is people, Larry Elder showing that people have a misconception about Uncle Tom, and then when you really read the Uncle Tom book, you realize that Uncle Tom was sacrificing so that other people could steal away. Like when you really, I remember I told this young rapper this one time who thought that he was just pro-black and in the know, and I told him, like, you know, we know what the Uncle Tom meant in the 60s, right? But Uncle Tom in the book actually helped people steal away, and he sacrificed himself so that others could steal away and get to freedom, right? And that's what he did, right? That's in that particular story of Uncle Tom by Harriet Beecher Stowe, ain't that?
Yeah, that's her name. Harriet Beecher Stowe.
Yeah, right. So she wrote this, right?
Right.
This movie is to show you that people who value education and value getting ahead, why are they being called Uncle Toms? Now that small clip right there that they showed, that does make you ask the question. Here this guy is, he didn't squabble and argue. He didn't say, oh, it's just because he was white and they're racist and why. He went out and got a master's degree, and then as you watch further, you find out how he was able to advance, right? So do we, as a people, and people can answer this, and we will read this across to read your comments if you're on TFR Podcast Live, Lordlandfilms page on FB, or if you're on YouTube, or if you're right here on live with us for the first hour on Crazy D Film Dude on Instagram or Periscope. We will read your comments. Look, do we have to now begin to stop calling people who are in a different political party than what we are Uncle Toms and sellouts? Do we have to stop doing that? Because I see a lot of black people, it would appear to me, that are tomming up for the Democrats just as much as there are blacks tomming up for the Republicans under that term of Uncle Tom as is understood from the 60s, not the definition that's from the book. Because remember, there's conno and denote. And connotative is the everyday, and denotative will be what you get from the book, right? So should we stop calling people who we don't necessarily agree with? Should we stop calling them Uncle Toms? You can do the comment right there, and then we'll read some of your comments. Or you can call 213-943-3358. 213-943-3358. We do have the phone lines up and running. Now look. So Herman Cain.
Do you think people confuse the two terminologies of Uncle Tom and coon?
Well, remember, before the coon came into existence of talking about, it was nothing but Uncle Tom. Uncle Tom and coon was synonymous, right? It almost meant the same thing, just different eras.
But actually it doesn't mean the same thing.
Well, no, it doesn't by the conno definition, but not necessarily the denote conno. Okay, people.
Yeah, because this right here.
So look, people. The next interesting meme that I saw this week.
Well, before you get into that made me think of what you just said, because I was actually thinking about that. When you said the term, the Uncle Tom, right? Could some people, I have seen it, on social media. A lot of people are surprised that Bill Clinton was allowed to stand up at John Lewis's funeral and disrespect Stokely Carmichael.
Oh, we're coming up on Stokely. See, Stokely is there.
But some people are saying that the people that allowed that was coonery, but yet they're supposed to be role models for the community. Like, so you brought that up. I was just thinking about that just now. I mean, It's funny how we want to, if we talk about political parties, like you said, And some people say that, because a group of a black person may vote this way versus another one that may vote this way. If you don't vote Democrat, then what did Biden say?
He said, then you, what did he say?
What did he say? You're not really black or something?
You're not really black.
And then, and then they'll say, oh, well, then you must be a Uncle Tom or a Coon if you are Republican or whatever, right?
Right.
So if that's the scenario that some people
are setting up,
a
straw man,
then you're sitting there with this man, Bill Clinton, who doesn't have a great history, political history in the black community. He doesn't have a filter.
He
doesn't have a filter, plus the bills that he passed when he was in office.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
and you're trying to elect the guy who helped to push it through the Senate. You're trying to
help. But you're trying to help push, but my thing is those people sat there and let him disrespect Stokely Carmichael, who was for his people as well. So would those so-called people be considered coons sitting up there smiling
and we're going to get to that
hands?
because we need to break down who Stokely Carmichael was, what he meant to the movement, and who he was affiliated with, and why his name would even come up. So now, people, look. Here are the 3 remaining presidents that are alive. It is number 44, 43, and 42. This is President Barack Obama. This is President George H. Bush. And this person back here is Bill Clinton, right? Now,
Epstein's friend.
Now look, people, these 3 people are here, and they spoke at John Lewis's celebration, or I wouldn't even call it a homegoing. It was a memorial, right? Memorial service. So they all spoke, right? And so they're politicians, and politicians have a certain standard that they have to uphold. So you have to just look at these people, no matter what color they are, as just politicians. This is what we will say to that, right? So look, these are 3 politicians. If you listen to what Obama said, he sounded as feckless as he sounded when he was standing with the officers when he was talking about after Philando Castile and Philando Castile's sister, a girlfriend, asked him a question, and he sat there and could not answer it because he said, "Because you protect me, guys. You protect me." So he was feckless. George H. Bush, right here, is, people forget, all of a sudden, because of Trump, all of a sudden now they're talking about George Bush as if he was one of the greatest presidents ever.
Did people forget about Katrina?
Did he forget about Katrina? Did he forget about the 2 wars that they put us in? They killed up a whole lot of people in another country and caused a lot of our treasure to get killed. And then, of course, we got Bill Clinton back there getting it in the Oval Office, which brought the presidency, the status of the presidency, down to basically, how can I say it? Nothing. So look, people, speaking of Bill Clinton, this is what we start with right here before we get to Stokely. Bill Clinton, did you know that Bill Clinton has a love child? Did you know that? Now a couple of weeks ago we talked about Jeffrey Epstein and Bill Clinton. Now they have released some records. They have unsealed court documents that say that implicate Bill Clinton in being on a plane and going over to the island, to Pedophilia Island, and being involved with, it appears to be 2 young girls. Now they had girls from 12 to, the younger the better.
This man,
right? Have you seen that documentary? Right. So this guy, how I know that Bill Clinton was involved, just my opinion, how I know that Bill Clinton was involved, he has a love child that he has not claimed. Now, you can look this person up. His name is Danny. Let me get this right here. His name is Danny Williams, right? Look up Danny, D-A-N-N-E-Y, D-A-N-N-E-Y, Danny Williams. He's the love child of Bill Clinton, right? Something he didn't want to claim. Now, when back in 2016, when Trump had pulled the media out for one thing, and he got them in there, and he had pulled up all the women that Bill Clinton was supposed to have been with. Remember?
Yeah.
And so then the next night, the people did not fall. The media purposely did not fall for it because it got tipped off that they were going to have his son, his love
they
child,
did not
sitting
put the camera on
and
him.
so they did not come in. They did not put the camera on. They did not cover the story because they were about to blow, Hillary's campaign out the water. But this guy right here, I believe that he had something to do with Jeffrey Epstein. I truly do.
Well, court records.
I truly do believe that. Right?
Say that he did.
Right. So look this up because these are interesting things that the media likes to bury, right? Meanwhile, this guy is up here talking about Stokely Carmichael, which we're going to get to in a second. Here's something else that we noticed. This was kind of disturbing. Tracy Morgan and wife Megan are filing for divorce after nearly 5 years of marriage. Now, I don't know what's going on with the COVID relationships. But it's obviously
lots of divorces,
lots of divorces happening, right? I mean, it's really crazy, because she nursed him back to health. They have a child together.
A little girl.
And she nursed him back to health, and now they're getting a divorce. So we don't get into people's personal business, but it's just sad to see that. So that is nothing. That was brought by a certain blogging site, right? So now, people, this one resurfaced on the internet, and I don't know why it resurfaced because it came back from so long ago. But the meme says, black cop shoots armed white woman that calls him Nigger, hard ER. You know what I mean? Called them that, right? And we are the Film Review, Movies, Music, Culture, Politics, Society podcast. And of course, we have footage. We have footage of this, and we have to play this, right? We have to play this. But we have to say that no black officer was harmed during or after. There were no charges drawn. It was shown to be a justifiable homicide. So we want to say that first. So here we go, people. Viewer discretion is advised because this is real life, what you're getting ready to see here. And I cut it up and I put it together so you can see two angles, because the original had it separated where you would just see the two different angles, right? But I put it together like a movie. And so here we go, people. Viewer discretion is advised. If you're squeamish about seeing, in my opinion, a woman, a crazy white woman getting shot to death, then I would say veer away. But if you're there, get your popcorn and your favorite drink, because this is interesting to say the least. So here we go, people.
Hey, get off the phone!
There's only one company. They're trying to slay me. I got their band here. And they're trying to slay me. I call my, look here. They've been after me.
Man, put those scissors down.
You're going to have to shoot me, nigga.
Put those scissors down.
No, you're not taking to shoot me. You're not taking to shoot me. You're going to have to shoot me. Please, no, you call 911.
Put those scissors down.
You hold the phone like that.
Hey, put those fucking scissors down.
You're going to have to shoot me.
Put those scissors down. Put those scissors down.
You. You're going to have to shoot me, nigga.
Hey, go back over there.
You're going to have to shoot and kill me.
Okay, let me pause that for a minute. So, this happened back in November 2nd, 2019, right?
Right.
Or at least that's when the footage was released, right? So I say that, right? Boucher, I don't know if it's Louisiana or California, because there's a Bossier City, Louisiana, and there's a Bossier City, California. So I don't know. Can you tell by those accents? Do you think that that's Louisiana, or do you think that that's California? By the way she spoke.
Well, with his diction, it could have been California, but hers, it could have been.
See, it's hard to say, but it's two, and they don't really tell you. They just say Bossier City. They don't tell you if it's Louisiana or California. So that's what it is. So look, people. She sits there and she pulls this knife and she says, "Nigga." It sounds like that old movie when Shirley Winters was in that movie. I think it wasn't Dolomite or one of Dolomite's films or something like that. It was like, "Get out of here, nigga."
Oh, yeah.
That's how she sounds, right? Yeah. So people wait for this. So we had to stop for a minute because, like I said, this is viewer discretion as advised. As you see, I cut up both angles so that you could get it. It's like a movie. It's like a movie, but this is real life. This is like Faces of Death. Do you remember Faces of Death? This is Faces of Death. So stay tuned on this. You know, viewer discretion is advised. And so we're going to get back to this. So we're going to fade out. We're going to get back to this.
You better have the shoot to me. You ain't taking me, motherfucker. You're saving me, bitch.
104 headquarters, 1033 the channel. Give me a supervisor over here. We got a white female. She has scissors.
You ain't calling. You ain't calling.
If you come over here, I will kill you.
Okay, kill him.
Drop the scissors. Drop the scissors. Shots fired. Shots fired. White female on the ground. Still got scissors in her hands. Shots fired. Shots fired. Drop the scissors. Drop the scissors. Hey, back up. Everybody back up. Hey, get out.
Okay, so it's Louisiana, right? Yeah. So look, people. He tells her to drop the scissors, right? He goes by protocol. Now, you notice that it took 2 angles to make sure that this dude was not charged with anything, right? Because I'm sure they were trying to charge him with something.
You know,
right?
they were.
But it took 2 angles, and if it wasn't for his body cam and for the surveillance camera, he probably would have been sent. How many times have we watched surveillance cameras where they are Caucasian officers and they don't go through this protocol? They just get to doing what they're doing, and then they'll put a lie up and say somebody was coming at me like that. But this one was actually coming at him like that, and it took everything, because I know that in his heart of hearts, he did not want to shoot that Caucasian lady. It was everything, but it came down to he didn't even pull the trigger when she said the hard ER, the hard NER. You understand what I'm saying? Yeah. So he was really a very professional police officer, and when she came running, he had no choice. No. He had no choice but to end the situation. It's sad. Sad, right? What do you think about that?
I'm glad that, there were more than one angle. Yeah. Because I saw just the one angle, a while ago. And so to see the surveillance camera, to see that angle was really good. So this woman, it was good to see, because it protected him. She came like from behind the counter with the knife. She wasn't even, I don't think that she even worked there. I think that she was just on something else, right? It was just on something else. I don't know what she was thinking. What was she thinking? Right? What was she thinking? Okay, people, so look. Back to school is happening now. This is August. Can you believe that we are in the first week of August, right? Summer is practically over.
Summer is gone. Like I always tell people, if you don't have something come out in February and March, summer is over. If you don't have something coming out where you can actually have it, you can go stream it, or you can actually have a hard copy. One of the funniest, drama-filled, DVDs or streaming film that you will see that came from Cleveland, featuring real Cleveland MCs, back in Cleveland movie, right? Make sure you pick it up on lordlandfilms.com, lordlandfilms.com, lordlandfilms.com. So, back to school is happening.
Yeah.
And
first COVID case in Indiana. They said first day of school. And the child contracted COVID.
Contracted
in Indiana.
In Indiana. Okay, people. So look. Back to school. The liquor stores are celebrating back to school. Now, is this
the liquor stores
a celebration?
Because people's kids are going back.
Or is it a celebration because they're going back to school, or is it a celebration because they survived COVID up to this point, or are people drowning their sorrows because they have to homeschool their children? What do you think it is?
The liquor store, I just think this is just a marketing tool for them. Let's celebrate the kids are going back to school, the adults, you have your freedom again or whatever. It's just marketing.
Marketing.
Yeah. So, because right now we are not out of the COVID state.
Right.
For instance, like what in
what good are drunken parents though?
What good are they? And then, like for example, in Nevada, we haven't even hit phase 3 yet, right? No. And then I read today that the governor pulled back on more things. So there's nothing to celebrate, but it's a marketing tool, I guess, for the liquor companies. And because I know some parents who are like, no, my child is going to be schooled from home, and so it just depends. A lot of people don't feel comfortable releasing their children back into the school system. I talked about it the other day. I was asking you, I was like, I wonder if they're gonna have like the little clear partitions to separate the kids,
right?
And
are they going to have recess? Are they going to have gym?
What did we talk about earlier? What was it? What, herd contact?
Yeah, we're going to get to that. It's all coming in the show. Look, people, look. So that was an interesting meme that we saw, right? Back to school. Right. So
I remember when COVID first kicked off. This is like in March. Right. And there was a woman on television crying. And on the news, she was crying because she said, I just don't want to have to deal with my kids. And, because school, kids weren't out yet for summer.
They weren't.
Right. So this is like in March. Because the kids, I believe, were home during Easter. Yeah, because of COVID. Right. And there was a woman on the news just crying. I just do not want to have to deal with my kids 24 hours. And she was just crying. I'm like, lady, are you kidding me?
He doesn't want to deal with her kids, right? Let's take this call, 916. Let's see who's on the line right here. Thanks for being patient as we go through this. 916. Hey, what's going on, Bearfax? How you doing?
How you doing, Mr. D and Mr. D? I forgot her name, please forgive me. But I want to touch on the Uncle Tom situation. Okay,
go ahead.
We have a misunderstanding on like what is an Uncle Tom. You have like different definitions through the generations that comes up.
Right.
And an Uncle Tom is always going to be the same identity. A brother that gets up, that comes out of what you would say a neighborhood or a brown man, we call them black, that get a degree and he goes into a field where he can actually bring something back to the community and does it.
Okay.
That is a Uncle Tom. The ones that gets a degree and take different oaths and things like that and come back to the community to harm them, them are not Uncle Toms, them are sellouts.
Okay.
Okay.
So that's my, them are my opinions, or them are my facts on what I see, which is Uncle Tom. Because all of them not Uncle Tom, some of them are sellouts,
right?
And some of them they get into a place where they want to make a change, and then all of a sudden they either lose their job or get threatened, so they can't make a change.
Oh, okay.
That's all I wanted to express.
Okay. All right. Thanks for the call.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah.
We'll talk again.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. All right. So that's a good perspective. Okay,
Yeah,
people. Next up is racism.
Okay.
The deadliest pandemic of them all. Right? So I saw this and I said, racism, the deadliest pandemic of them all. And speaking of racism and what's really good and what's really going on, when you think about racism, then you need to think about what's happening with the COVID-19 response, with the potential what do they call it? Vaccine coming out, right?
Okay, yeah, the vaccine.
So I posted this article on my Crazon Dion page on Facebook, right?
Right.
And it's what is herd immunity and how can we achieve it with COVID-19, right? So this is where I say, while the media pushes politics in the midst of COVID-19, so small I can barely read it. SARS-CoV-2, are they lying to us about herd immunity now, right? So what is herd immunity, people, or herd protection? What is herd immunity or herd protection? Herd immunity or herd protection is when 70% to 90% of the population contracts the virus, right? Some are going to die off, others are going to build up an immunity to it. So when someone who hasn't had the disease comes by, because they have an immunity to it, these people won't be able to catch it, and that is herd immunity, 70 to 90%. So we're dealing with racism here, right? And we know what the Dems usually do, right? We know the Dems were the Dixiecrats, and then they moved over to the Republican Party, but some of the blue dogs still stayed. They're still as bigoted as they were, right? Any Caucasian that tells you that there has been progress and as it builds, it'd be better progress, they are racist, right? Any Caucasian that's telling you that, we're gonna, it's progress and it's worth working it out, they are racist. Unfortunate truth, right? And in future shows, we will lay that out more so that you will be able to understand where we're coming from with that, right? So look, this herd immunity, the media is in politic mode right now, right? If you're watching MSNBC, CNN, Fox News, any of the other stations, they are in political mode right now. They're trying to either help Trump get his second term, or they're helping to try to make Trump a one-term president, right? So they're blaming everything on him, but they are not reporting the facts to you. From just watching this since March, there's two trains of thought going through the White House. There's two boats that meet in the night, right? There's two different contrasting viewpoints. One is about mask, distance, social distancing, etc., 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 right? Quarantine, boom. The other train of thought is about herd immunity or herd protection, getting 70% to 90% of the population. This will have to be globally, not just the United States, but globally, catch it, get over it, build up the immunity so that there will be an immunity to it like smallpox. And so this article lays this out, and they talk about, do we want to do that or don't we? This is a John Hopkins article. So you can go over to my page after we finish at Crazon Dion and read it, right? It's a very interesting read. It's about a minute read, and it gives out the information, right? And my thing is, the people are saying, let's keep the kids at home. Other people are saying, send the kids to school, because the kids will contract it, not necessarily die from it, but come back and kill up the old folks. That's what, I mean, I'm just saying it in connotative terms, but when you read the article and you get the denotative from the scientists, then you'll understand what I'm saying. But I'm just saying so it's going to kill up some people, but for the most part, the next generations will be immune to it. This will build the immunity, and then us in the middle, we either catch it or don't. We either survive or we don't. But the older people go, the middle people, they stand, they build an immunity, and then the youth will definitely have immunity to keep the generations going. What do you think about that?
I mean, it's just...
And the media is not telling you the truth about it.
I mean, because it's... looks like that's what they're doing. I mean, because I was surprised when, let's say, for example, in New York, right? When Governor Cuomo, the elderly patients who they diagnosed with COVID in the hospital, once they were treated and released from the hospital, he sent them directly back into the skilled nursing facility.
I thought he was sending COVID patients to, not just elderly, but COVID patients into, that's the way they covered it on the news.
Oh yeah, because some young people, they said, went into the skilled nursing facility also, right? So, not skilled nursing, there were multiple, not singular, but plural. Right. But he sent them to the various skilled nursing facilities instead of sending them to that center. Right. That it was like a huge convention center.
Or the boat. That Trump sent.
And the ship. Right, in the ship. So why he didn't separate the group, because I remember on the news, they made like a really, really big deal, in which they should have, when they said, hey, we need beds, we need this, we need that, and they gave it to him, right? But he didn't send the people where they should have been like isolated or taken care of. He sent them right into the elderly population. Like, I thought that was weird.
That was weird to do that, right?
And then let's go to certain states, like in let's say in Florida. And I do remember also the governor in Tennessee. I do remember them saying that they're not going to shut anything down, and COVID is just like the flu. And I'm like thinking, are you guys intentionally like killing people?
And see, the media is not covering it because they're doing a disservice. Because ever since Vietnam,
control.
Once Vietnam happened. And they brought Vietnam into the homes, right, as it was going on, the people were able to have an informed opinion about war, and they did not want to be in Vietnam anymore, which made then the politicians have to shift out of war. And so then they said, well, let's treat the population like children, the citizens like children, and not bring war, the theater of war, into their homes every night, because they will become informed. And so this is what it is. So they apply it to news also. They don't want you informed, so they treat you like children, and they won't tell you certain things. If you knew, people, that it was herd immunity beyond a reasonable doubt, with no doubt, no, this ain't court. If it was no doubt at all that it was herd immunity that people were practicing, would you
participate?
Would you be willing, or would you be in more fear, or would you rather have the media having a fear tactic, trying to push this so they can have someone else get in the office? It's going to say the same thing. It's going to have to be herd immunity.
Yeah.
Right? So this is another meme that we saw, right? So I thought that this juxtaposition of what she's saying compared to what she's doing is actually is apropos to each other, right? It's too many dead people in this realm. So in other words, she's thinking and she's saying, I have to release this snit. I have to release this snit because it's too many dead people in this realm, right? Because it's going to be a lot more people passing because this is about herd immunity and getting rid of the elderly population, the ones that can't hold on. Then the people in the middle will contract it and hold on to it. Some people are asymptomatic, catch it, and then the youth will have immunity to it and will keep the population going, right? Yeah. Now, people, we talked about Bill Clinton before, but at the memorial for Latanya M says, hello, Latanya M, how are you? Thanks for watching us on Crazy D Film Dude on Instagram, and don't forget.
And I see Tanya Congress and there's someone else.
Yeah, that's Dave Tolliver. What's up, Dave? Hey, so what's up, y'all? So don't forget that we will be after the first hour. We'll be on either YouTube at the Film Review Life channel or on FB at TFR Podcast Live Lordlandfilms page on FB. It's been a while. Yeah, I guess. I can't see exactly who you are by your avatar. But anyway, people, so look. Stokely Carmichael, or who we call Kwame Ture, was referenced at John Lewis's memorial by Bill Clinton. Now, you know, Bill Clinton speaks out of turn quite often when it comes to black people and the struggle. Do you understand? He speaks out of turn quite often and should have been checked at the place, right? But look, Stokely Carmichael, SNCC, the Student Nonviolent, the Student Nonviolent what is the word I'm looking for? Because I can't read my writing. It's too small. Yeah. Coordinating Committee. Yeah. The Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee, SNCC, right? John Lewis and Stokely Carmichael were founding members of this organization. And after John Lewis ascended upward, Stokely Carmichael, or Kwame Ture, took over. And Kwame Ture was not about integration. And we've talked about the difference between desegregation and integration. Desegregation was making everything equal so that you could walk where you wanted to walk, go in, sit down, eat where you wanted to eat, get on the bus, ride unimpeded, not having to get up every time some white folks got on and moving the colored sign back until you're standing up in the back of the bus. We've talked about that. So there's a difference between integration and desegregation. Laws to make it so it's easier for you in America as American blacks to live, right? Stokely Carmichael was not about integration. He was about economics, right? So when he said black power, and King then began to say black instead of Negro or colored, he was making his move. Now, Clinton said something to the effect that, it was starting to shift Stokely Carmichael's way. First of all, his name is Kwame Ture. And so you would call him Kwame Ture. That is racist. But he says Stokely Carmichael. Right? He said, but it started to go Stokely Carmichael's way. But it shifted back to John Lewis, which was what he's considering nonviolence, and that as time goes on, the situation gets better and there is progress. Any Caucasian that tells you that is a racist, because they're going to tell you this, but they know that there's a debt owed, but they want you to still be in a system that owes you a debt, and you're working to keep the system churning. Well, that's no different than what slavery was, except for you're supposedly free and you're getting a wage, but you're still getting going. But they know it's a debt that's owed, and they're not willing to pay it. So they say progress. But your people had people in bondage, right? So this meme says we were never fighting for the right to integrate.
Right.
We were fighting against white supremacy. And what is white supremacy? To keep you subjugated, to keep you down economically, so that somehow, maybe, possibly, you will just wipe out. Look at your children. Look at your generations. Look at your nieces, your nephews. Look at your grandchildren. Look at the condition that they're in if you have a large family, right? Then look at the condition that people who are Caucasian, who are not what would be considered white trash, but the people who are considered middle class, look at their large families. Look at their condition. And see that it's more systematic. So his thing was not fighting to be integrated, but we were fighting against white supremacy. What do you have to say about that? What do you think about that?
I mean, you know, I'm just like, I was listening to Superboy's podcast earlier today, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he talked about how at let's see, I auditioned for one. Oh, okay.
She said she auditioned for one of our films way back.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, okay. All right. Good to see you. Yeah, and don't forget that you can pick up Back in Cleveland movie.
Yeah.
You can go right over to lordlandfilms.com. That's lordlandfilms.com. You can either stream it on demand on your big screen TV or on the app. Comes right up on your phone. You can watch it on the go, or you can pick up the hard copy, because you know that's what we do over here at lordlandfilms.com. We actually make film. Go ahead.
I forget what funeral. Do you remember what funeral he said that Clinton spoke at, and he yelled, he chastised the black people in the congregation.
That was when Rosa Parks passed.
Okay.
But previously to that, he talked about he talked about Sister Soldier, and basically eliminated Sister Soldier's career as far as that, you know, and he really doesn't have anything to say about how black people express themselves about how to be free.
So he was talking about how Clinton has a pattern of disrespecting black people. He said during inappropriate times, inappropriate events,
situations,
funerals.
Yeah.
And he's able to get away with it.
Yeah. So people, we're ending on Crazy D Film Do on Instagram, but you can go over to YouTube, right, to the Film Review Life channel.
Right.
And we're right there. Make sure you subscribe and click the bell so you can have notifications. And we're on Periscope, on at TFR Podcast Live, and we're on Facebook at TFR Podcast Live, Lordland Films, right? Page. Make sure that you like that, follow that. And we're out right now on at Crazy D Film Do. Right? So look, people. So you said that.
Yeah, so I mean, it's just like a pattern.
It's a pattern.
And it's just like there are groups of people who are, and I've said it before on previous shows, they're more loyal to a political party than they are to their own group of people, to their own
group
culture.
Of people. That's right.
Right. And
That's
it's
right.
sad because other people are loyal to their groups. And then you still have some people who are loyal to their political party. Mm-hmm. And it doesn't matter to them if Bill Clinton or his wife, if they disrespect the black community, It's looking like clearly they don't care. I was going to say allegedly, but hey, it's no longer allegedly. They released the court documents with Bill Clinton, with the involvement of two young girls.
But the main
so
point
clearly
is
they don't care.
The main point is Caucasians don't have anything to say about how we go about being free.
Right.
If they were truly about it, they would take on what we're going to be talking about later in the show about
I'm sorry,
ADOS,
I'm still not happy about Biden's comment, you're not black.
Right.
See, they get really comfortable with just
because
comfortable.
too many people try to make them too comfortable. Look, Shannon Churchwell said, this virus has been politicized since day one. This is true because they are not about telling you about what the truth is. So people, those were the blurbs of the week that I saw that I thought was pretty interesting, which gets us into our first review of the night. Tijuana Jackson. Tijuana Jackson, right? Prison over purpose over prison, right?
If you want a good laugh, and we all need one during this COVID,
you have to see this.
Great independent film.
Okay, so Tijuana Jackson Movie, written, produced, directed, and edited by Romany Malco. Right. This is the synopsis of it as we see it here at the film review. Tijuana Jackson, released from prison. Between his parole officer, portrayed by Regina Hall, and his family, he struggles to find a way to make his dream of being a motivational speaker become reality, This film is hilarious, and it has drama in it. It's not something that you would usually see in the theaters coming from a Caucasian run, decision made studio. This man wrote it himself, shot it himself, had his team to shoot it, he directed it himself, he edited it himself, he starred in it, and he has a great cast. Let's go through the cast real quick.
Starring Romany Malco. He plays, of course, Tijuana Jackson. Regina Hall, she plays Cheryl Wagner. Tammy Roman, who also did a great job, plays Shira Jackson,
which is who is his sister, right?
And Regina Hall is his probation officer. Alcoya Brunson plays little Eric Jackson, the nephew. Lynn Odoms, she does a great job. She plays the mother, Mama Jackson.
Mama Jackson.
Yeah, great cast.
Yeah. And then there's Tyler Cassidy. He plays himself. He's the camera guy. And then Shannon Dang plays Rachel Cho.
And then Kiva Jump is, I believe she's the warden.
It's because the two white women kind of looked alike.
She's
the warden, and then there was the woman about the dogs or something, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, when you see the film, it begins with him in prison getting ready to be paroled. Right. And so the whole thing, and he has a crew that is following him around to chronicle his rise, and that's what we're going to say about that, right? But you have to see this film. It's playing on so many different platforms. We saw it on Amazon Prime, right? And we told Romany that we were going to review his film, and we were not disappointed. The trailer let me know that this film was great. So let's break this down.
This film was worth the money. Because as we all know, during COVID, some movie theaters are still closed.
Yes.
And so certain films that are released on demand, we have to pay for, right?
Yeah, that's true.
So we paid for Tijuana Jackson, and it was worth every dollar. It was hilarious, well written, great film.
Right. Yeah. So look, let's go through it. Cinematography. It's shot as a documentary film, but then there's angles that represent being like a fly on the wall, right? Like a regular movie.
Right.
Beautifully done. The cuts between both, that's a 10.
Yeah.
Storyline, through line, 10.
Right.
Character arc, 10. Drama and comedy in the place. Just when you think that it's going to get heavy, then there's a, but you'll see, that's a 10.
Yeah.
Acting skills. The way that Romany brings Tijuana Jackson to life, and the sayings that he has, the way that he expresses himself, it's real, man. That's a 10. Regina Hall as the,
she does a great job.
As the parole officer,
right?
That has an edge to her. That's a 10. The mother, Tammy, as his sister, 10.
Nephew.
His nephew, right?
And the two students.
That's all a 10. Wardrobe is a 10. Believability is a 10, which makes Tijuana Jackson movie a 10.
I love the dialogue because it's like so real. It's like a conversation that you've heard before or you're having with someone you know. I mean, it was just real talk, right? Then the situations are hilarious, right?
They are.
So, you know what I like? I like how we talked about it before. How, like in the store, we also we sent like books and music and magazines to institutions.
That's true.
So the family members would come in. The family members would bring either like whatever books and magazines, and then we would provide the music. They would purchase the music, right, and then ship it out to their loved ones.
Right.
And so we've seen like Oz and like so many other shows that will show you behind the scenes what's going on, like in jails or in prisons. Man, he keeps it real. Like, he talks about, and you see a side that you haven't seen. I haven't seen anyone capture it
quite like he captured it.
Right. And then like in some of the dialogue, the scenes, just like hilarious. I mean, he did a great job.
He did a great job because I used to ship cassettes and CDs and later CDs into the institutions in Southern Ohio. I even had one federal institution that I shipped to. I think it was in Virginia. Right. And so the inmates would write to me and let me know. So that's how I know that when people are talking, if they're talking about something, I know if what they're saying to me is true indeed, if they're not leaving anything out. The inmates would tell me, which we're not going to get into here, but I can tell if people are telling me, because they would tell me the main thing they want to tell me when they write me, tell the young dudes, don't come here. It's not what you think. It's not what you see on TV. It's not what you see in the movies. So this movie right here, with what he was talking about, the conversation that he has within the piece, is a true representation of what's really happening, right? And so that this is where it would be kind of like Hollywood glamorized, but he doesn't do glamour here. This is straight, hard, straight ahead information with the right dialogue and the information, and it's comedy and it's entertainment and it's got drama. So you have to see Tijuana Jackson. But like I said, when I watched the film, I said, oh, he's saying some truth, because they wrote and they told me. And so when people are talking, if they're not talking that, what I know, because people wrote me first, and then they would come home and come shop with me later, and then come in and tell me even more, right, and more detail. And it's like, nah, y'all not telling the truth. Y'all dudes has been in a penitentiary. If y'all coming in saying one way and not kicking it like the way he kicks it in this movie, you're not telling the whole truth. And that's what we're gonna lead at.
Well, you know what, I also want to talk about, I appreciated outside, what I love about this film is, like his journey, right? Moving towards his goal, or like he said, his purpose, right? So you see him while he's in prison, and what I love is the interaction with his family. Like, that dialogue is real, and you know that dialogue is what happens for former or ex-convicts when they are released from institutions and back into society, and the type of conversations that they have with family and friends, right? Because it's hard on the family as well.
Yeah.
And it was just well written, and I loved how it was just beautiful. His relationship with his nephew, his relationship with his mom and sister, right? His childhood friends,
right?
And it was just well written.
Well written, well put together. Okay, people. So make sure that you see Tijuana Jackson. Purpose over prison, right? So now, people, we're coming on to the topic for tonight. And the topic for the night is hashtag ADOS. So Angelo Darden, because the topic is how ADOS shut out of reparations talks by black politicians. And Angelo Darden says this from the front. Easy. They have no standing. Who does ADOS represent? Are they an organization? Do they have power of attorney? If they can't answer that, they don't get into the room. It's as simple as that. So that's what Angelo Darden has to say. So let's go through who, which is perfect. He wrote that comment. So we're gonna go through first who ADOS, hashtag ADOS is, right? So look, how hashtag ADOS shut out of reparations talks by black politicians, right? What ADOS is a project or a movement. What is ADOS? A project or a movement? Organizations have a head. Example, NAACP. ADOS, each chapter is self-governed. A leaderless organization. But is it a project or a movement? Or is it a leaderless organization? What is a leaderless organization? No one wants to take a bullet, but they want credit, right? So let's break down what ADO, that's just the observation, right? Because there's been a whole move of saying, okay, let's have a leaderless organization so that if one gets taken out, then the other people will never be able to stop the organization because they went.
I can see that. Right.
But NAACP is the longest running organization, going. They have TV shows. They give out awards. They are in the fight constantly, no matter what you believe. When they were started by Caucasians, and then it moved over to the power base of black people. But W.E.B. Du Bois was involved, and we've talked about the contradictory nature of a W.E.B. Du Bois in the fight with this talented temp stuff, right? We've talked about this on the show, right? So, but there's leaderless, and it's leaderless, right? Can you be leaderless and or have different chapters but not have a head like the NAACP, dropping down orders so that people will know what to do? Can you be leaderless? So anyway, people. So from ADOS101.com /about-ADOS, or you can just go to the ADOS101.com and you'll be able to go through and read this, because this is great information. So how ADOS shut out of reparations talks by black politicians, right? What is the purpose of ADOS? What is it? What does the hashtag stand for, right? Hashtag ADOS stands for American Descendants of Slavery. So we have to make sure that we get the information out to you so you can go research, right? Because you have to know, because they've done a lot of research. These two individuals, we're going to get to their names, right? Purpose. Their purpose of ADOS is to reclaim, restore the credible national character of the African American identity and experience. One grounded in our group's unique lineage and which is central to our continued struggle for social and economic justice in the United States.
Right.
Okay, so people will read that and they will say, what does that mean?
Right.
What exactly does that mean? So I took some points. So these are points to ponder about the part about economic justice in the United States for ADOS, American Descendants of Slavery. Slavery was what made white freedom possible. Slavery, now these are points to ponder. Slavery was what made white freedom possible. Slavery, a precondition for a societal hierarchy which requires descendants of slaves to remain a bottom caste made to suffer the necessary failures of a brutal economic system. So there has to be, in capitalism, there has to be a bottom for there to be a top. And because of this hierarchy, this societal hierarchy, descendants of slaves, American descendants of slaves, will perpetually be at the bottom and be a bottom caste, so that there will be people at the top, and there's no plans ever to change that. So when you look at what's happening in politics, this is why when you're looking at politics and you're looking at a candidate, what are they talking about? What is Biden talking about? Is Biden talking about reparations?
No, well, he's talking about just studying it, as if we need to study reparations.
When all the study is already, but we're going to get there. The ADOS underclass served as a financial engine of a nation that never recognized the debt it owed. Again, the ADOS underclass served as a financial engine of a nation that never recognized the debt it owed to American descendants of slaves, right? ADOS movement is underpinned by the demand for a reparative justice in making the group whole. Right? So let's look at that real quick. Making the group whole, saying that there is something that's owed to American descendants of slaves. What do you think about that?
I mean, you go to, like you said, ADOS101.com. They also give you the breakdown, right? They, statistically, they have the data. There's a graph that shows the racial wealth inequality in the United States, right? So there's been studies. We have so much data. We have data from also Claude Anderson has been talking about this for years.
So many people.
I mean, just so many people. They talk about on Breaking Brown, right? Yes. She talks about Sandy Darity. I mean, there are numbers. There's data, right? Biden said that what did he say? He said that he will talk about or would think about reparations if Native Americans are included.
Yeah, Native Americans.
But I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, okay, but then which is it? Because you said that you would study it, put together a group and study it. But then on the other hand, you say, well, if Native Americans are involved, I'll do it. I mean, it's kind of like he was all over the place with it.
Yeah, he's all over the place.
And my thing is, other groups have been given reparations, right?
Mm-hmm.
And slavery was, what, over 400 years?
No. Slavery was only 200 years, but it's been 400 years in this country. We went through Jim Crow.
I mean,
we went through segregation and all that. So altogether, it's 400 years of oppression.
Well, 400 years of oppression. Okay.
401 years now.
Well, I mean, if you think about, if we think about like slavery, right?
Uh-huh.
If we think about the oppression, if we think about, or as Dr. Greg Carr says, instead of saying slavery, we need to say death camps, is what he said. Okay, so if we think about over 400 years of oppression, right? It didn't just stop with the 200 years, though. Like, I mean, the lynchings are still happening, right? Mm-hmm. If we think about how some of our people are living here in the United States, right? Mm-hmm. Like in, for instance, was it like in Mississippi? And then there's also in the state of Louisiana, they're dealing with, let me not forget about, where is it, in Michigan, mm-hmm. the water, right? Mm-hmm. So, they're dealing in all over, but specifically in those three places, people are dealing with like bad water, flooding sewer in their backyard, right?
Chemical factories is causing cancer.
Chemical factories is causing cancer, and this is in people's backyard. And I'm thinking about like the story in Mississippi when these people are living with manure shit, right? All in their backyard, like the feces literally in their backyard. Like these are the conditions that our people are living in, mm-hmm. right? So I mean, it's just, what do you need to study? Okay, so all we can look at the income, the incomes between the different groups. We
want to thank Stuart Elsie, who sent in $10 to our Cash App. Okay. That's $sign TFR Podcast Live. That's $sign TFR Podcast Live. Okay. Thank you, Stu. That's one of our great actors from the Black Ice Chronicles and A Preacher's Life, right? So look, people.
I mean, if we can go on and on and on. I mean, the police brutality, like they're clearly. I mean, I haven't heard anything else about the law. You know, I thought the Dems and the Republicans. The
Republicans already said that was dead in the water because the Dems killed on the Senate side. They killed it on the
Scott Walker.
Right.
No, what was his name? No, Scott Walker.
It's Tim Scott.
Tim Scott. His bill.
Right, and then on the House side, where the Dems are in control, they came with a bill, but the Republicans said that'd be dead.
So they were going tit for tat,
because you're supposed to come together to compromise on a bill, right? You're supposed to come together and compromise, and so the Democrats moved disingenuously on that, and not in good faith for black people. So look, people. Originally about ADOS. Those who did not agree smeared hashtag ADOS, tried to ignore hashtag ADOS, but something happened. Kamala Harris's presidential campaign was set aflame. Went down in flames.
But she may be the vice president.
Spearheaded by ADOS and other like-minded American blacks who had enough after number 44 Barack Obama. And we'll be talking about that in future episodes, right, as we get closer and closer to this election, because we've been putting out this information. So look, Bare Fact says from the People's Chair, we was not slaves in the aspect of coming on boats from Africa, so it has no impact, but it is a way to hold them responsible for what they did to my people. Now, let's discuss this. Henry Louis Gates.
Okay.
If you type in Henry Louis Gates slavery,
okay,
it'll take you to a PBS.com page, and they talk about how many slaves were actually within the mid-Atlantic slave trade, right? Okay. The transatlantic slave trade, mid-Atlantic slave trade.
Okay.
10.7 million made it to their destination. 12 point something million. So 12 point something million shipped. 10.7 million didn't make it to the destination. However, in America, I'm rounding the number because it was 388,000 something. But I'm just going to round it up to 389,000 bodies made it to the shore of the United States of America, right? Look up how many blacks are in America right now. Okay. I believe it's 14.2, but I want to make sure that we have the right number. I believe including mixed individuals, we're like 13 point something percent of the population, 13 point something million, but with mixed people we're 14.2, right? So look that up real quick, but I'm going to keep going. How does...
Okay.
What is it?
They're saying
42 million. 42 million, right? I'm right. So 42 million American blacks in this country, including mixed, and people who are mixed with other races. But when you come out the one drop rule, you're black. You know, so you manifest as black, you get the movement, the rhythm, all that from blacks. You just get it from black, right? So 42 million, right? How does 42 million people come from 389,000 people that were verified that actually landed here in America? All the majority of the people went to Brazil, and they went to Haiti, Panama, Puerto Rico, Jamaica, I said Haiti, and then it's Dominican Republic, right? So it went into the diaspora, right? How did 389,000 make 42 million? We were already here,
right?
All right. Before we were here, there's a book. They were here, we were here, they were here before Columbus, right? You got to get that book, right? But besides that, if you don't even want to read, all you got to do is just realize that when you search through and you look at these figurines that came out in the 13th and 14th century to describe what America looked like, it was a small little angel figure of, you know how they make the angels with the cherubs, but no angel, but it was like a porcelain doll, a porcelain figurine of a black person with curly hair. That's who they first saw when they landed here in America.
Yeah.
So when ADOS speaks of that somehow that harms the argument, no, it doesn't, because they stole something from a group of people who did nothing but try to help them.
Right.
Right? And it's not the same people who came across the Bering Strait later who were what they categorized as Mongoloids. It's not those people. Right? That took on the native thing that you see John Wayne killing in the movies. The $5, and it's not those people. So when we're looking at it, so when bare facts says that, this is true, but it's more to it, because it was 389,000 that actually made it here, right? And it's not economically feasible to bring people across, so you would have to breed people, mix them up, take away certain classifications, call everybody colored. There's no more Indians. They're just colored. And then Negro. And then so for political reasons, I am, therefore I am, but for political reasons, American Black, because you're here, you built it, and in honor of people who, like Stokely Carmichael, you keep the black tag. But whatever you call yourself, a magnolia by any other name is just a sweet smell. Have you ever smelled a magnolia? It's got to be the best smelling plant in the world, yo. It's way better than poo-poo roses. But anyway, people, so let's move forward. So what he says there is valid, but we can't leave out that there were some people here. And remember, the people who tell the story in history, who tell their story, are usually the victors, so we can't really believe everything that they say. So 389,000 does not beget 42 million. It's got to be some people here already. I know they had breeding farms and they were churning them out, buddy, and we're going to talk about that. We talked about that in 110.
Yeah.
Right? But we're going to expand upon it more because Baltimore had some real breeding farms going on.
Right.
But anyway, people, look. Okay, so let's continue on with ADOS. So that was good. Thank you, Bear Facts, for that.
Yeah, but
that the people's chair.
Oh, and I also wanted to say, like I said, beyond the 200, as far as reparations go, like slavery, I mean, the horrors that they subjected our ancestors to, I mean, they're still doing this stuff today.
Still doing
so it went beyond the 200 years.
For the purpose to keep you subjugated so that the system can keep running.
For example, 2000, I think a lot of people may have heard this already, but in 2019, last year, South Carolina white man, they gave him 10 years in prison. Why? Because he enslaved a black man. This is going on in South Carolina.
Had him cooking, right? Had him cooking, had him enslaved.
And he had him staying in a cage.
Kind of like Aunt Jemima.
He had him.
Aunt Jemima.
And this is modern day. This is in South Carolina. You know, let's not forget, he also tortured this man and had him staying in a cage. And I mean, so.
Right. So let's go forward. So we talked about what the people who didn't believe used to do. They used to try to smear ADOS, tried to ignore ADOS. For a brief time in 2019, various black historians, political leaders, and movements were united, giving ADOS, Yvette Cornell, and Antonio Moore their props. But then the rift zones in East Africa threatening to rip the face off of Africa, Tariq Nasheed and ADOS had a rift, a disagreement, so close to the election, but directly during the 1866 Civil Rights Act being heard in the Supreme Court. Now you can go back and watch those episodes, and because you have to be up on history of what's going on. Our opinion, each delivered a death blow to the other that neither has realized is slowly killing their relevance, right? That's just the observation. It's a death blow that's slowly starting to eliminate them. One is a historian and one was one who brought the facts. And so for that little bit of time, black people felt they would be together. They weren't in agreement on everything, but it was enough agreement to go through the election. And once that rift happened, this happened. Now ADOS laments no longer the smear campaigns against them. Now they lament people taking what they've researched, pushed and created momentum with, while acting as if they don't exist. And this is an example of what we're talking about the lamenting. Stay tuned. Here we go.
That there is a concerted effort to cut us out. Now, what happened before? This is different. This is different, family. What happened before was a specific effort to smear us. That was first. The smear was first. They gonna smear us to death. So the smear didn't work. So you can just say, how did this happen? And you don't mention us, and nobody mentions us, right? Even the people that we work with. No, what is happening here? But in practice, focus.
Okay, so you see, what's going on now is they're being taken off their game, and that's very detrimental to what they're doing. They're being taken off their game, and now they criticize those who they see to be Johnny come lately. Here's another example. This is from Tone Talks.
The reality of a world where your parents are the most important aspect of how successful you'll be in this world. At that time, people thought I was talking like in the impossible. Everything was. At that time, Black America didn't understand the wealth that they understand now as a result of the project that I put forth. At that time, Black America was still figuring out what blackness meant in America, and part of the reason they couldn't understand it, Cube, is because of you. Whether you meant it or not, the decadence of your veil made it so that we could not talk about black politics. So we here now partially because of your own actions. From the big three, which really isn't owned by black folks, it's owned by Qatar, and there's this get into the white man.
When I put out a contract.
Okay, so look. So now they're going at people, right? But what's being lost to the public because this rift is happening,
right?
And people were just waiting. I believe that the powers that be were just waiting for this rift to take place, right? So they could do it. What's being lost within translation now because there's no shows. It's just strictly pounding because they were pounding and pounding and pounding the message home. So what's missing now is the pounding of the message home. You get it, but then there's disgruntledness because they are starting to be ignored because the people who they were opening up to, and the situation with pretty much derailing Kamala Harris's presidential campaign, showing the contrast between Barack Obama and herself. Right. And how we're no longer willing to take a person that just says they're black, but they have to come from ADOS. All that is being muddied up or being muffled out by having to go at people and say, "Look at me, look at me, look at me." This is just observation, right? There's no attack because what they're doing and what they have done is great. And we're going to get to this, but this is some of the things where they actually break down and go into detail, which help people. This is talking about Clyburn's 10-20-30 plan, right? 10-20-30 plan. Now, we come from Cuyahoga County, straight American black Democrat, right? That's what that is. So why would you, as a person that's a Democrat, then produce a plan that will produce this? So listen to this. We'll be right back.
But in practice, focusing the selection criteria at the county level, as Representative Clyburn's approach does, yields a collection of communities that are overwhelmingly rural. Though the list of eligible counties varies depending upon data source, upwards of 80% fall outside metropolitan areas. Communities who would not make the cut under the 10-20-30 formula include some of those with the deepest and most entrenched concentrations of urban poverty, like Detroit's Wayne County, Los Angeles County, Chicago's Cook County, Cleveland's Cuyahoga County, and the District of Columbia. That is a lot. That's a lot of black people who would not benefit from this bill.
The reality of a world.
So look, people. So they're bringing it down and telling you that the 10-20-30 plan is a bill that's about poverty overall is not a reparations package.
Right.
And Clyburn is not about giving a reparations package, right? This what we come from Cuyahoga County.
Right.
Right? His package is for his legacy,
right.
And that comes from an article.
Right.
Let me give it to you so that you can go research it here. I have it on the paper here.
Right.
It comes from the Brookings Report, October 4th, 2016. You can go right onto the Brookings page, to their website, and look up the report, October 4th, 2016, about Clyburn's 10-20-30 plan.
Yeah.
He's from South Carolina. This is supposed to help South Carolina and rural people, but not only American black rural people, but all rural people. And it leaves people out who are Cuyahoga County, straight black, American black Democrat.
Cleveland. It leaves out Cleveland.
Out of it. And
Right.
these are some of the most impoverished areas. Wayne County, Detroit, some of the most impoverished areas. But we still get out there and work and churn and make
It's not
this move.
reparations.
That's
at
not
all.
reparations.
Far from it.
Right? So
Right.
because of what has happened with this RIF, this is causing a slow bleed. Where people can say, oh, we don't have to follow you because people go at people.
Yeah.
And so this is what the problem is, right? So let's go on. So reality. Cube came out with a plan, right?
Okay.
He came out with a plan. It's the contract with Black America addressing racial inequality, right? You can just search it out. It's a 5-page document, right?
Okay.
So what does Cube say about his document? And this is reality now. With Cube offering the olive branch and the black politicians and historians ignoring ADOS to try to win an election, having a person like Cube who has a certain popularity might be the only way through coalition to push for the reparations ADOS speaks of. And so let's play Cube offering this olive branch, because it's an olive branch, and we watched as, in our opinion, Tone and Yvette pretty much slam Ice Cube for being a Johnny come lately at this, right? And where were you when all this was going? This is what they're talking about, right? And they talk about who really owns this and that. It's always something pounded at somebody to try to put a death knell in them, right? Which then makes the person. But here's Cube offering an olive branch from the Breakfast Club. Here we go.
When I put out a contract with Black America, a lot of people reached out to me and said, yo, we got similar things. We got things that, could coincide with what you're doing or enhance what you're doing, which is what we're looking for. So, we brought Chris in and Rob Jones to help us to, update our contract, because 2 weeks ago it was a little thinner. Now it's a little more dense, and we're just trying to get people behind it. We got a couple of great people that prominent in economics, in civil rights, that's about to announce that they're going to get behind them. So just want to build a wide coalition of people that that's smart, have great ideas, and that want to make this a better country. So it's really, Chris and Rob's part of a contract with Black America called Geo Reconstruction, which really just breaks down numbers. My thing is broad, it's broad strokes, but we really need people who've been working on this stuff for years to dive in there and give us the real data that we need to present to the government.
So you see, he says data.
Right.
That is just clearly an olive branch put out to ADOS, right?
Right.
Now, this is what happens when you talk about people, right? When you talk about what they like, when you talk about Clyburn, the facts are out there. When it's broken down the way that both of those two people I'm going to say honorable people, break it down with ADOS in mind, they are right. They are right. However, when you do go at people, you wouldn't expect that they would want to bring you in. They're going to try to find a way to eliminate you. So unfortunately, because Cube has a certain name, he has a certain popularity, ego has to leave to allow the ultimate goal to be achieved. Ego has to leave. Ego has to leave to allow the ultimate goal to be achieved. The people are not going to gravitate towards because there's been too many clay feet have been smashed. They don't like the toes of their fresh clay feet being stumped on and being deformed, so they're like, we're not going to mess with you. So you have to go in and then work with people who are putting together a coalition, and you may not be on the forefront, because this may be what's happening in the future, is that the people are not going to work with you because you have stumped on their clay feet, and they don't like it. Their bunions are hurting, right? Other than that, Oprah Winfrey wins in connection with Nicole Hannah Jones, with the 1619 Project being turned into something that everybody watches, a document with audio and visual called a documentary.
My question is, how is that being done without Yvette Cornell and Tone Talks being involved in the project when ADOS led the charge in reparations?
This is true. Oh, we got another phone call. Let's take it. 702. 702, you're on the line. Who we speaking with?
Hi, how you guys doing today? This is Patrice Marcel.
Hey, how you doing, Patrice? What's on your mind?
I'm good. Man, y'all talking my subject, man. I am so headstrong about reparations, and I listen to Yvette Cornell and Tone Talks all the time. And what we getting, in my opinion, is from a lot of these celebrities, and I commend the effort, but like what Cube is doing and T.I. is doing, you know, they're getting some things done, but it's not, I don't see where there is a strong items on there that really serves the urban community. And a lot of these politicians is wanting to co-opt our reparations with everybody else's, and that's another thing that I think that is unfair, because Japanese got theirs, nobody else was co-opted with theirs. Vietnamese, the Jews, the Indians, everybody got theirs, but they want to co-opt black people with other brown people or other, Native Americans, and we need ours separately. And they're not bringing people like Yvette Cornell and Tone Talk and Dr. Claude, what's his name? Claude Anderson. People that have been talking and fighting for reparations for years. They're not bringing these people to the table or to the panel for discussion and conversation that can literally, break down verbatim the items that need to be on an agenda that needs to be brought to Congress.
Okay. So my question, So my question to you is, why aren't they talking right now? Why aren't they talking to Yvette Cornell and Antonio Moore? Why aren't they talking to them?
Because they understand that celebrities like you and Oprah Winfrey and all these people, see Yvette Cornell and Tone Talks is not down with the HR 40 or the 619 project per se in that way, because they're trying to find a way to co-opt Oprah and the Qs and the TIC. They don't understand the logistics of how black people need to have something only for Black people.
Right.
And Yvette Carnell and Tone Toss is saying, and I agree with them, is saying the HR 40 and 1619 project does not cover everything that is needed to touch the communities of the urban, low income in Black America in all of these states that are starving so bad. There needs to be a specific agenda, and they need to get people like Yvette and Tone and Dr. Claude Anderson to the table and come up with a whole coalition of people, not just, a certain amount of chosen people that they can say, hey, and let everybody put their 2 cents in. But it needs to be only for Black people. It does not need to be co-opted. And that's where our problem. And if we allow that to happen, especially at the march on Washington on August 28th, if we allow our reparations, even if we get it to be co-opt, that's going to be shame on us, because that's going to take money and grants and opportunities and jobs and things of that nature out of our communities again.
Well, we're going to move on, but I'm going to leave you with this, and then we're going to move on to the last part of the show. That's about integration. That march is about integration. That might not have been what Martin Luther King was really striving for, but that march is going to be about integration. So that is going to be about the coalition of Black, Hispanic, Asian, such and such.
They're gonna turn that march into vote for Biden.
Well, that's
gonna be a big hole.
So we can't expect it to be anything else. But there's the Whitney M. Young wing of it. There's the John Lewis wing of it.
Right.
And then there's the Stokely Carmichael wing of it. There's the Malcolm X wing of it. And so we're all trying to get to the same place. People are trying different ways. But at this time, and my point of all this is that people have clay feet. And they've stumped on those clay feet, and that's why I believe they're not being talked to. So they will need, in my opinion, they will need, in my opinion, to get with someone who does have a star quality and not necessarily be out front. What do you say to that? Then we're going to move on.
Yeah, I agree, but when it comes to the reparations, that need to be totally separate from any other agenda that is brought to Capitol Hill. Doing that march. If anybody plan on bringing up anything regarding reparations, it needs to be at a separate time. Then that's a whole separate agenda that needs to be addressed. And then we the only ones that's going to have control over telling these politicians that we do not want reparations co-opted to no other race except for American descendants of slaves. Period, point blank.
That's it. We'll take it right there. Thank you for calling. We'll hope to hear from you again.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, thanks.
And my thing is like, why haven't the Breakfast Club invited them up to the show?
They step on toes.
Women
know they've stepped on their toes. Remember when Claude Anderson was up there? They stepped on Claude Anderson.
Okay.
They stepped on those clay feet. Those clay feet are something that people's bunions. People protect their bunions and their corns.
Yeah, but they invite artists who they've had arguments and bump heads with up to the show.
Unfortunately, it's the opposite. It's the converse. I'm going to say it turned inside out. It's the converse of what Malcolm X was talking about there being people who are for it and not just entertainers. It's about entertainers, which brings us to our last topic for the night within 6 minutes is James Baldwin. It is James Baldwin's birthday.
Yeah.
Has there been, of course there has, but I'm going to just say this to give him accolades. Has there been anyone who has wrote in the modern era about being born a person of a certain age and coming through the 50s, the 60s, the 70s, right? Has it to the 80s? Has there been anyone? Of course there has, but give him his accolades. So people, there is a documentary called I'm Not Your Negro.
Yeah, that's good.
On Netflix, narrated by Samuel L. Jackson.
Yes.
It is a look at the letters he sent to his editor concerning the next book, which would be a look at racism through the eyes of his fallen friends, Medgar Evers, Malcolm X, and Martin Luther King Jr. June 12, 1963, Medgar Evers shot and killed. February 21st, 1965, Malcolm X shot and killed. April 4th, 1968, Martin Luther King shot and killed. The name of the book was going to be Remember This House. Think about that succession of death and destruction of people who the only thing they wanted was for there to be equity, restorative justice for American blacks. The documentary is playing now on Netflix. It is powerful.
It is.
Baldwin died December 1st, 1987 from stomach cancer. It's a must watch. I Am Not Your Negro 2016 is on Netflix. Look.
Well done.
That is, it's, I mean, just looking at the zeitgeist of that and the psychological damage that would cause. Baldwin in the beginning said that he wasn't, he didn't think that all white people were bad. In the end, Baldwin started to take on this right here. Let's play this.
What white people have to do is try to find out in their own hearts why it was necessary to have a nigger in the first place. Because I'm not a nigger. I'm a man. But if you think I'm a nigger, it means you need it. The question you've got to ask yourself, the white population of this country has got to ask itself, North and South, because it's one country, and for a Negro, there is no difference in the North and the South. There's just a difference in the way they castrate you. But the fact of the castration is the American fact. If I'm not the nigger here, and you invented him, you, the white people, invented him, then you got to find out why.
You have to find out why. Why did you invent the nigger? Huh? Why did you invent him? So people, watch this documentary.
Great documentary.
I Am Not Your Negro.
Yeah.
It's on Netflix.
Yeah.
It's Jimmy Baldwin's birthday.
Yep. Happy birthday again to James Baldwin.
To James Baldwin.
Yeah. But you know, before we wrap it up, because we like to give receipts, right? In the Washington Post, the black man that was enslaved in Conway, South Carolina. His name is John Christopher Smith, in case you want to look that story up. His name is John Christopher Smith, and the story is in the Washington Post, and modern day slavery.
Modern day. So people, we are at 999 subscribers. It was a hard push. We're looking for that 1,000, 1,001, 1,002, 1,003. Make sure you subscribe and click the bell so that you will be there. Don't forget, this was brought to you by Lordlandfilms.com. Back in Cleveland DVD, or you can go live stream it right now on your phone or on your big screen 70, 90 inch television screen.
Right. And also the app you have to give us as black people. Foundation Flex app.
Foundation Flex app.
We're
Check it out.
black people.
It's on phone only, Android and iPhone. Okay, people. So you've been watching the film review. Movies, music, culture, politics, society podcast. We'd like to thank everyone who called up, participated, commented. We're moving forward towards a 2020 election. We're going to see how it pans out. We are your husband and wife team. I'm Crazy D.
I'm Tracy.
And we review movies, music, culture, politics, society. And we are the, what do we call ourselves?
The husband-wife team.
And we're the husband and wife team, and we call ourselves the Film Review.
Yes.
And we'll see you next week.
The Film Review, movies, music, culture, politics, society podcast, interviews, movie reviews, and more. Live Sundays at 5:30 p.m. on the Film Review Live channel. Subscribe.
Hi, this is Bernadette Stannis, Thelma from Good Times, and you're watching the Film Review.